Hello, I'm Ryan Hill. This is the EDL 851 presentation for Module 8, Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluation. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize the content that was contained in the materials for this module. The first article was an NEA article on teacher evaluation. It pretty much covered the key provisions in teacher evaluation. One provision is that the Secretary of Education is really prevented from changing the state's education system, which include teacher evaluation and teacher effectiveness. It really points out that states need to develop short-term, interterm, and long-term goals. States also have to develop teacher evaluation systems. The next aspect of the article included the bargaining and advocacy implications. It really dives into what the ESSA's savings clause and how it preserves the right to bargain evaluations. The NEA supplies a toolkit that gives principals contract language to implement or modify evaluations. It looks at partnerships between teachers and administration in order to assure buy-in. If you don't have buy-in, then your evaluation system is going to be incomplete. It also looks at how test scores do not improve instructional practice. It really dives into the improvement plans and due process and how it should be considered. The next article was on teacher evaluations that head to courts. It really looks at AFT and NEA lawsuits that are challenging on procedural and substantive complaints. There are a number of different law aspects that it covers. The first one is really looking at how the NEA or AFT challenged the new system and how it is procedurally put in New Mexico, which is still in progress, but it has been completed in Louisiana. They challenge the grading components in Tennessee and in Florida. Florida's completed, Tennessee is still in progress. They challenge fairness and account for student poverty in New York, but they're also challenging fairness in the account of ELL, or students of other languages, in Texas. Both are still in progress. And in Nevada, they're still looking at, or challenging tenure. The last article is teacher evaluation, an issue overview. And it jumps into why is evaluation an issue? The greatest quote that I've heard in each one of these articles was from Standard University's economist Eric Hanushek, where he estimated that the top performing teachers help students gain more than a grade's worth of learning, but the students taught by the worst achieved just half of years of learning. So that really dives into why evaluations are important. When we look at how new teacher evaluations work, they're really looking at how it is more complex than the previous checklist, and it really dives into more of a major student achievement. How teacher unions respond to it, they generally worry about the connection to pay, and they want to make sure that that's all fair and balanced. But they also don't want the connections to standardized tests. The issues really become when the standardized tests are then unfairly attached to teacher evaluations. The evidence of new teacher evaluations working, the evidence is still unclear. Uh, Most likely, this will remain a major topic of discussion throughout teacher unions, throughout states, throughout uh, principal and teacher communications. The current evaluation instrument used in our school district is the Kansas Educator Evaluation Protocol, the second version, or KEEP 2. KEEP was designed from the state to kind of support and acknowledge the critical components of professional practice and to ensure valid outcomes. The evaluation system is based on 6 criteria: continual improvement, differentiated performance, evidence and articles, regular evaluations and feedback, and equality or equity. Uh, Keep 2 procedure requirements include orientation, self assessments, formal observations, informal observations, articles and data collection, the IPPS rating, the PS rating, the FS rating, and then a final conference. All these procedures really follow a strict timeline and deadline. When it comes down to what recourse a teacher has regarding teacher evaluations in our district, I'm not 100% sure. I'll cover here in a second about the procedure in KEEP 2 that kind of covers that aspect. But I'll kind of just describe my general experience and knowledge from different circumstances that have happened throughout my career and I've heard about at least. Uh, if the evaluation's bad and the school really wants to take action and fire a teacher, if they're in the non-tenured area, then they really do not have to provide any proof. Actually, they prefer not to provide any proof because then that will require them to give you due process and put you on a plan of improvement. So sometimes if they feel like it's not a real good fit, then they will forego all that process. Um, so so really to expedite and try to find new talent. Um, if teachers really want to kind of fight the issue, uh, they can go through the teacher union and try to fight it. But now without tenure, uh, I don't know how much the union can really affect the decision of a principal then going to the board and suggesting the non-renewal of a teacher. Uh, the teacher is more than welcome to go to the school board and have a discussion with them and try to plead their case. But generally, it falls on deaf ears. The school board is going to take the suggestion from the principal most often. If a teacher feels like their evaluation is inaccurate, they can kind of follow the procedures through the Keep 2 system. Whenever an evaluation is made of an employee, the written document will be presented to the employee, and the employee can then acknowledge whether it's correct or accurate or inaccurate by his signature at that time. Um, Anytime after 2 weeks, the employee has to respond in writing. In order to cite a legal case in which a teacher or teachers group has filed a suit against the district, I really go back to the article Teacher Evaluations Head to Court and look at the Louisiana case where the Federation of Teachers go against the state of Louisiana in June 2012. They're really arguing the law that ties teacher evaluation to tenure and pay scales and how it violated the constitutional provision requiring legislation to pertain only to one topic. The status was completed, um, and all of the lawsuits, this one's legal path has been one of the most complex. The state court judge initially let the combined teacher equality provision stand, but after a second review, uh, struck the law down in March 2013. In October 2014, the state Supreme Court reversed the lower court's ruling, and the union said that they will then seek further changes through legislation. So it really shows the power of how the teacher unions have gotten into the political aspect of laws and how it affects, well, teachers. Finally, I'm going to kind of look at it as a future school leader and how do I make sure that I ensure that I follow legal issues associated with the evaluation process. I feel like first and foremost that I would have to establish a clear vision. In order for everybody to have buy-in and acceptance to any sort of evaluation, we have to have some sort of vision or protocol that everybody is willing to follow. And then I'm also going to make sure that I follow any state statutes and also align with education associations. And finally, I'm going to make sure that I am fair and just in any decisions that I make. I'm going to make sure it's an open discussion forum and that teachers understand that I am there to better them and to better their teaching approach. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we are there to improve students and make the best educational uh, experience that they can have. In order to do that, we really need to tie evaluations into professional development. Uh, and that really will solidify both the vision and then kind of the path in order to take throughout the evaluation. So the evaluation process isn't really a shock. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.